The episode begins with Bruce Banner ugly ass sneaking into Las Vegas. He covers his face with his hoodie and tries to remain hidden from the police. A police officer drives past him and he immediately tries to blend into the shadows. However, just when he thinks he is safe, the police officer notices him and turns his cruiser around. Knowing that he is fucked, Bruce starts running and manages to hide in an alley. As his adrenaline levels grow, Bruce's eyes begin to glow. Not long after that, he hears tanks driving into the city. Meanwhile, a soldier informs General Ross that Bruce Banner has been spotted in Las Vegas. The general orders his men to prepare a containment cell for him, despite his men wondering why Bruce would show his face when he had remained hidden for so long. The general replies by saying that he does not have the time to worry about shit right now. On the other hand, Bruce, who is still hiding from the authorities, finds a secluded spot and searches for a man called Carl Crusher Creel. When the GPS pings Creel's location at a local diner near the canyons, he decides to follow it. At the diner, he sits next to Creel, who is busy eating. He musters up the courage to talk to Creel and tells him that he has been trying to find him for weeks. He assures Creel that even though S.H.I.E.L.D. is looking for him as well, he is not one of them, and even considers him a friend. Finally, Creel asks Bruce how he has managed to find him when even S.H.I.E.L.D. could not locate him. Bruce reveals that Creel has been emitting gamma radiation, something that Bruce is an expert on. He claims that he knows everything that there is about Creel, including the fact that he was taken to the Cube, a prison specially designed for people who were exposed to radiation and were made into monsters. When Creel remains silent, Bruce asks him what he knows about the gamma experiments that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been running. He then tells him that he suspects that S.H.I.E.L.D. is conducting these experiments to create human weapons, and not helping them like they have told the public. Just when he thinks that Creel is about to give him an answer, he is in for a surprise because Creel covers himself with metallic armor and throws Bruce outside. He then walks up to Bruce and tells him that he knows exactly who he is. Unbeknownst to him, Bruce finally loses his shit and he turns into the Hulk. He towers over the supervillain and prepares to beat his ass. Above them, the general's men report back that they have spotted the Hulk and are about to land in front of him. At the same time, Hulk and Creel begin fighting with Hulk having a clear upper hand with his sheer strength. Hulk continues to beat up Creel and sends him flying into the ground, creating a large crack in the ground. Creel somehow climbs out of the hole and touches the sand. His body begins to turn into sand, but before he can fully change, he touches the diner's sign and turns back into his metal form. He tells Hulk that he knows everything about him as well, and as it turns out, everything he had heard in the cube about him had been true. He asks Hulk if he wants to be a superhero, and if that is why they are fighting away from the populated areas, to keep people safe. When Hulk does not respond, Creel goes on to say that he has gone soft before molding his arms into two large hammers and begins attacking him. When he tells Hulk that the same people he is trying to keep safe think that he is a monster, Hulk ends up snapping. He manages to catch Creel's fist before sending him flying towards the sky. Once Creel crashes to the ground, he touches the rocks behind them and changes his body to rock. He arrogantly tells Hulk that he can turn into anything he touches. Before he has the time to react, Hulk rushes towards him and punches him with all of his might. He manages to break off Creel's arm, who then starts backing off, begging Hulk to spare his life. However, just then, a missile lands on top of them, and because Hulk did not have enough time to react, he gets thrown back along with Creel. He recognizes the attack as General Ross's ammo and prepares himself for another fight. At the same time, General Ross orders all Hulkbuster units to open fire. Hulk tries to dodge the attacks, but no matter how strong he is, constantly getting shot at slows him down. Trying to escape the onslaught of bullets on the ground, he jumps up towards the sky, but that, too, is not safe as men on Apache helicopters begin to shoot missiles at him. As he crashes to the ground, the shooting continues, creating a dust storm. Once the dust clears, one of the pilots notices Hulk jumping towards his aircraft, but it is too late for him to react as Hulk grabs a hold of the guns and jumps back down. As soon as he lands, he uses the guns to take down the general's men on the ground before throwing the empty gun at a helicopter, causing it to crash. Not far from him, General Ross orders his men to continue with their attacks. At that moment, a woman's voice interrupts him and tells him to order his men to stand down. Confused, he asks the woman who she is, claiming that his channel is secure. The woman responds by saying that she is his superior. While the general tries to make sense of things, the mysterious woman and her partner prepare for battle. To General Ross's surprise, both the woman and her partner jump out from their jet, and he immediately recognizes them as S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Pissed, he tells them that he had told Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., to stay out of it, and that he will take care of the Hulk. However, the woman who is later introduced as Natasha Romanoff, also known as Black Widow, and Clint Barton, also known as Hawkeye, tell the general that they are going to take care of his problem for him. Meanwhile, Hulk notices the two of them just as Hawkeye fires an arrow at him that blows up. Once the dust clears again, Hulk tells them that they need to leave because they have just made him angry. Despite this, Hawkeye continues to mock him, claiming that he looks tired and continues to fire arrows at him. Before he can recover from their blows, Black Widow begins firing at him and manages to land a few hits. Unbeknownst to them, General Ross orders his men to fire at Hulk. When his men protest by saying that the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are in their direct line of fire, he doubles down on his command. At the same time, Hawkeye fires multiple arrows at Hulk. Some blow up in his face, others electrocute him or freeze him. When Hulk finally manages to catch one of the arrows, he discovers a moment too late that it is a flash bomb and gets temporarily blinded. Besides them, Black Widow notices a rocket launcher aiming towards them and realizes what is happening. She tries to communicate with the general again, who ignores her commands and presses the launch button. As the rocket is headed towards them, Hulk recovers just in time to see the rocket heading for them. He realizes that the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents will not be able to get away in time and jumps on top of the rocket to stop the explosion from harming anyone else. The impact of the explosion causes Hulk to crash into a canyon. As it begins to crack and break, Hawkeye realizes that their pilot is in danger since the jet is right under it. He tries to warn her, and she only manages to maneuver the jet enough to avoid getting crushed under the rock, but notices that she is going to crash. Before that can happen, Hulk jumps up again and gets a hold of the jet. Somehow he turns the jet around and safely lands it on the ground. However, he does not get any time to celebrate as Hawkeye once again hits him with another arrow and electrocutes him. Since he had already taken several attacks, Hulk's body is not able to maintain its form, and he changes back into Bruce Banner and loses consciousness. Sometime later, Bruce wakes up to find himself shackled inside a cell at the Cube. A scientist at the Cube, who was also Bruce's friend and fellow scientist named Leonard, takes a sample of his blood and tells him that he will find a cure for him. Bruce, who knows from first-hand experience, insists that there is no cure for the Hulk, but Leonard thinks that Bruce has given up on himself. Just as he turns to leave, Hawkeye enters the cell and asks Bruce if Hulk is a monster. He claims that both the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and the rest of the world think that Hulk is a monster who creates destruction in its wake. However, Bruce tells him to think for himself. Hawkeye continues talking, saying that it was strange for Hulk to save their lives when he has been painted as a heartless monster. Bruce then tells Hawkeye that he needs to think for himself and open his eyes to see what is happening around him. He goes on to say that the better question to ask would be what these agencies need all of the supervillains for. When Hawkeye does not counter his observation, Bruce continues by saying that S.H.I.E.L.D. is more interested in creating monsters like him, which has now become possible thanks to the sample of the Hulk's blood that they took. That night, once Hawkeye leaves Bruce's cell, he notices Black Widow secretly entering the lab. He decides to follow her, and to his surprise, he finds her stealing Hulk's blood sample. Wanting to know what is going on, Hawkeye heads to their jet, where he searches for field communications and reports submitted by Black Widow, but is informed that there are none on their system. Confused, he asks the virtual assistant where her files are being kept, and is told that Widow had them moved to a remote computer. He requests access to the files, but needs a password to access them. After multiple failed tries, Hawkeye finally manages to guess the password and is able to see the files. As the first one begins playing, he sees Widow speaking with a Russian accent and reporting that S.H.I.E.L.D. suspects nothing and that she has been given a high-level security clearance. She then claims that the sample will be ready at their pickup point. When he requests the computer to show him who she is talking to, it is revealed that Widow has been communicating with the Hydra. Meanwhile, Widow heads to the location and Hawkeye secretly follows after her. When she meets up with the Hydra soldiers and is about to hand them the sample, Hawkeye decides to intervene and shoots the sample out of her hands. He asks Black Widow why she would betray S.H.I.E.L.D., but instead of giving him a straight answer, she twists things around by blaming Hawkeye for stealing the sample. Before he can react, several S.H.I.E.L.D. agents surround him and end up capturing him. Widow orders for him to be taken to solitary confinement, claiming that no one can see him until she gets back. At the end of the episode, Widow contacts the Hydra again and tells him that they need to arrange for another pickup as she holds up Hulk's blood sample. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos, and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.